Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Slayers, a queer horror panel covering all the spooktacular movies and games we all know and love, presented by Ally. I hope you've been enjoying all the fabulous programming Gaming Live has been serving up thus far. Can you believe it's already halfway done? Bummer, right? But first things first, who am I, you ask? Well, I'm the horror host looking to get your ghost, Stan the Mechanic, and my pronouns are he, his. I'm joined today by these fabulous, ghoulish ladies, icons of horror. I have Biqtch Puddin and Erika Klash from Dragula, and I have Lady Dimitrescu herself from Resident Evil Village, Maggie Robertson.
Hey.
Yes. So to begin with, I want to just do a round of intros. If you guys could tell us who you are, what you do, and give us your pronouns, please. Maggie, let's start with you. And how do you pronounce Dimitrescu? Am I doing it right? There's a lot of conversation about that.
This is a hot topic. According to Capcom, our official pronunciation is Dimitrescu. Dimitrescu. So Lady Dimitrescu.
Dimitrescu.
Yes. So there you go. Oh, and I'm Maggie, and pronouns she, her. Happy to be here. Woo-hoo!
Yeah. Yes. Bitch, let's move on to you. And a happy birthday, my dear. You look beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you so much. If I'm a little hoarse, y'all, I got 2 hours of sleep when we're here live with Gaming. This is fun. Hi, I'm Biqtch Puddin. I won Dragula season 2. I'm also the creator of the digital drag show. So if y'all got through drag through the COVIDs, that was me. Emmy-nominated makeup artist and just an all love of horror. So glad to be here. And then I have to give it off to Erika. She's over here. Erika.
I'm on the other side.
Which side we on?
Hi, everybody. I'm Erika Klash. I actually lost Dragula season 2, but I was there. It was fun. You might have seen me eating a lot of gross stuff on that show. But yes, I'm a drag artist and content creator here on Twitch. I stream a lot of retro games on my channel, a lot of Pokemon as well. And yeah, I produced my own show in San Francisco, nerdy cosplay drag show, brought that to the digital space. And yeah, I'm just like a nerdy bitch, just a bitch.
Lovely. Thank you. It's a pleasure to have you all here. Thank you so much. So let's dive right in. So my first question for the esteemed panel, what do you think horror resonates so fiercely with the queer community? And let's start with Erika.
Ooh, if I had to take a wild guess, I think sometimes we look for horror to kind of like exercise those fears that we have or those like anxieties that we have about the world around us. But I also feel like there's a sense of like with the final girl resonating with the otherness of that person that kind of can see beyond like the social structures that we live in and is actually focused on what everyone else isn't seeing, which is like the killer, right? So things like that, I think are some of the big reasons why we love horror.
For sure. Biqtch, what about you?
I think horror resonates with the queer communities because it's made by queers. I mean, the writer of Frankenstein is a well-known, fabulous lesbian. We know the creator of Dracula was queer as hell. Like, its queerness develops horror because our life is kind of horrific depending on what time area you live. We're probably in the best era to be queer right now, depending on what country you're in. But yeah, I think it's just, we have so much strife, so much stuff, so we just kind of glamorize it and put some rhinestones on it or make it even grosser and add more blood and ooze and drippiness. So yeah, I think, horror is queer. And to give a little shout out, I'm Queer for Fear, coming to Shudder, is a horror docuseries talking about all queer and horror. So that interests you, I totally check that out. And you'll be shocked on how much of your favorite classic horror movies and films and references are queer. You're going to be gagged. That's not even a joke.
That's very true. There's a big history of queer horror and lots of players in there. And what about you, Maggie? What say you?
What say you? Yes, I also heard about that documentary, and I'm super excited about it. I think y'all have done an even better job of expressing this than I. I will offer up these 2 caveats before I dive in. One is that I'm not a horror aficionado. It's not a genre that I typically watch, and nor am I a queer theory authority. But I've had one very big reason to think a lot about these subjects in the past year. And it's been really interesting to see the intersection of these 2 communities. And I think specifically thinking about villains, as Erika mentioned, there is this sense of otherness that I feel is at the root of the horror genre. And I think villains are oftentimes characters that are ostracized for their communities, not because of what they do, but rather because of who they are, because they represent a deviation away from status quo and away from what is typically considered valuable and acceptable by society. And so I find that to be very interesting. And specifically within Lady D, I think she literally and physically and figuratively does not fit into the world in which she lives, and has created her own chosen family outside of the normal bounds of society. And I think that being able to see that on screen is especially impactful to communities that typically feel undervalued in our current society. I think horror can be a great genre for release, a safe space for release. I think, as Erika touched on as well, this safe space to release this internalized anger and fear that a lot of these communities have.
Absolutely.
There you go. There you go. There you go.
No, absolutely perfect. You know, and Lady D is such a huge icon in the community. I know everybody was very excited to see you here because she's so beloved, and rock on. But
rock on.
Trucking right along, I would say let's start with Biqtch this time. Can you tell us a bit how horror, the genre, has inspired your artistic expression?
Yeah, originally when I started making or becoming Biqtch Puddin, and I started doing drag at Savannah College of Art and Design, I was inspired more by like, the mainstream aspects of drag. But when I really sat down and was like, what do I really want to do here? And I was really inspired by like video games and those references that I watched, like the Final Girl movies or the sexy women beating a big brogly dude or a zombie with a battle axe and a thong, and they're just like plowing through. And this powerfulness that had with me, Lady Death from the comics, like not the Marvel comics, not the DC Coffin comics. Okay, I'm talking about the white-haired bitch with the big old titties and just giving you the glamorousness and then slaying hordes of zombies in hell. That, like it just fires all the pistons. And that's when, like, with drag, everyone kind of thinks like, oh, it's like glamour, it's filth, it's horror, it's the tropes of Dragula. But for me, it's drag is whatever. If you're having fun, you're doing drag. And when you're inspired by the things that you kind of use, like a lot of video games for me were like huge coping mechanisms. I'd go home and get bullied, and I'd go home and I'd play these like fabulous women or kill off hordes of zombies and be like, oh my God, and just like kind of disappear, and was kind of therapeutic for me. So to kind of bring that back into the fold with my art, that's been a huge source of inspiration over the years.
Love it. Absolutely. And how about you, Erika?
Yeah, for me, I grew up watching the Universal Studios horror movies. So, like, speaking of like queer-coded characters, Dracula's daughter was huge for me. And then as a gamer, Castlevania, Zombies Ate My Neighbors, things like that. I was a huge Godzilla fan. I still am, but even from very young. So those are the kind of games that I loved. And I just love how you have this like Konami, this like Japanese dev studio that kind of interprets these very like Western quote unquote tropes of like the mummy and the vampire and Dracula and all these things, and how they sort of put it through a new art style and a new lens. And that's always been, I think, an important part of my drag, is like just taking all these disparate references and elements and just bringing this whole like nerdy life to character, whether that's like stepping into the shoes of a character that I love, or whether that's like creating my like an original character, which is why I love Dragula as well, because it's so cinematic with it.
Absolutely. And Maggie, I know you're not necessarily a horror aficionado, but has the genre inspired you at all since getting involved with Lady D? And if not, what has influenced your art?
I think, it's certainly inspired me. It's been, this community, just being a part of the community is inspiring in and of itself. So I'm loving my journey so far. I think in terms of my artistic inspirations, there is some overlap. Hear me out, okay? So I have a background in Shakespeare.
Yeah.
Wow.
And your performance was very Shakespearean. So yeah.
So there you have it.
Yeah.
See, that's my link. I think that Shakespeare, both Shakespeare and horror and fantasy, because I'm a fantasy nerd, they live and operate within these really heightened spaces, and the stakes are literally life and death. And so that's very fun for me. And you have this, Lady D especially, engages in the use of heightened language, which is also very Shakespearean. So for me, it felt like a very natural kind of sidestep into this world of Village. So that felt really cool. I think horror is an exploration of desire and pleasure and how far you're willing to go to get what you want. And all of that is really fun, especially when you're playing a villain, to figure out why they tick and why they are the way that they are today. Nobody's born a villain. You're made into what you are. So to figure that out has been really fun and something I do enjoy.
Ooh,
Delicious.
Yes,
Ooh.
really
Oh my
delicious.
God.
I love
need a drink.
it.
I need to drink a
You
little
can
something
say
after that. That was
delicious
really good.
anytime. That was delicious.
So let's talk games. So what horror games really get under your skin, or which ones do you really love to play and why? Let's start with Maggie. Let's start with you.
Oh God. Cool. Yeah. Also not a gamer. So here we are. I'm so out of my depth, and I'm really going to defer to my other panelists on this one. But if you need fantasy recommendations, like I'm so
Favorite
your
horror
girl.
fantasy.
Give us fantasy.
Go for some
Yeah.
fantasy
Go for that.
horror. Yeah.
Castlevania. I never played the game, but I freaking love the show and
Yeah,
vampires
the show's
in general. They're
Camilla with the inches, bitch.
Camilla
Yeah.
all day. Camilla all day. If only I could have played Camilla. Yes.
They need a spin off of her in hell. I just gotta see it. I just need to see it.
I need to see her in
Yeah.
everything, every part of her. Yeah. Ooh.
You're in a safe space.
Oh my God, the Lady D and Camilla crossover. Oh my God,
they're delicious.
Somebody's on DeviantArt doing it right now.
Yeah, let's get the fan going. Bitch, how about you?
So my favorite game is not a horror game, but the game that had the most impact on me has a lot of horror elements, and that was Metal Gear Solid 1 on the PlayStation 1. I think if you played through that at the time it came out, it was what elevated games into being a full-length movie, very cinematic, very breaking the fourth wall, and there was just a lot of queerness and horror in that genre to me. Psycho Mantis is in bondage and is controlling your controller, and it vibrates, and you're like, what the hell is going on? Like, games had not fucked with people until this point. It really hadn't. Like, there might have been some things, but this was the first one that really was like, yo. And there was this opening scene with Ninja, and he kills like all these people, and then you like walk through the carnage before you see what happens. So you're like, what in the hell is going? It just is eerie. It's on the back of your spine. It's tingling. But I also have to say the original Resident Evil, my Uncle Tom, who passed this past year, who kind of introduced me to video games, really had all the Resident Evils, and we'd go and watch, and I would be so scared, like hiding under a pillow. And it's like the polygon graphics and turning into a Jill sandwich of it all, terrified the living shit out of me. And I just was like, oh, like, but I couldn't look away. It was like the most beautiful, like, cinematic car crash. But the campness of horror to me is Dino Crisis, and I think we've peaked. And I want a sequel, Capcom. All right.
You heard it here first.
I want a Dino Crisis sequel.
The lady has spoken. Erika, how about you?
Yeah, I'm actually kind of a scaredy cat when it comes to horror games, but on the channel, sometimes we'll do them. Alien Isolation is one we've done on the channel. Subnautica, as someone who really like has like a fear fascination thing with the ocean, Subnautica gets me. But then some of like the older games like Clock Tower, from the Super Nintendo, point and click. At Dead of Night is also kind of a point and click. Those build up a lot of tension for me because you can't really see like what's right next to you, and then you turn and you're like, the killer's there. So things like that. I also am a huge Metroid fan, and that one sort of borders more on horror, but a lot of the storytelling there is kind of subtextual. It's stuff that you see in the background or in the scan logs and things like that. So I really appreciate that. As also an Alien fan, Metroid and Alien are kind of related. So.
100%. Nice. Well, so sidestepping into film, I would ask you guys, what are some queer horror movies or female empowerment movies that you'd recommend to the viewing audience? And I'd like to start with Erika.
Yeah, well, female empowerment movie that right off the top of my head is Black Christmas, 1974. It originated a lot of the slasher tropes that we know today, like the second line being in the house, yada yada. But it's a movie about women's right to choose as well, which is quite interesting. In terms of queer empowerment, I'm blanking right now. I'm just gonna throw out, because all of our Dario Argento's films are, camp and queer in their own way. I would say like Suspiria. Canterbury has some queer characters. Yeah, check those out.
Yeah.
Hellraiser, Hellraiser.
Hello. Oh my God, Jamie Clayton as Pinhead.
I'm so excited because I love her on the L Word. I'm a shout out to the L Word. I'm a huge fan of that show.
I am so here for it. I cannot wait. She's gonna kill it. Bitch, how about you?
Oh. I live for Sleepaway Camp, honey. That's one of my favorites.
Meet me at the waterfront after the social, honey.
So I won season 2. The original winner of Dragula, Vander Von Odd, one day showed me this movie called Martyrs. And don't watch the American version. Watch that French version, because it's the feel-good movie of the year. It goes there. It's the most, like, if Vander to recommend their favorite horror movie, you aren't prepared on the weight of, like, it's a ride. I want to say it's like one of the most craziest things I've ever watched, and it was beautiful in the same sense. It's really a mind fuck, horror fuck. It's great. Martyrs, definitely check that out. But I love the queer representation that we're happening right now with, like, Castlevania, with I can't remember, the fabulous, like, 2 lesbian vampires going off into the sunset, living forever. I literally just want to cry thinking about that. Yeah, definitely those tropes for me do it for me lately. Yeah.
Absolutely love those. I will co-sign on Martyrs.
Oh, I will say. Oh, you co-sign on Martyrs, right?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, isn't it insane? I will also say this unpopular opinion, and it didn't get renewed for season 2. And y'all, each and every one of you watching this, let this drop. Resident Evil on Netflix was amazing. Mostly POC cast, very queer, amazing producing, and campy. Had references to the video games and the movies. And it was just a really great re-envision of, like, the franchise in a new way. And y'all let that drop. I must sit on a rock on that one. There was a crocodile attached to a boat, like a zombie crocodile. I was like, this is a boss in like 3 or 2. I mean, come on. Like, y'all let that drop. I'm bitty about that. And it was very queer and, like, casually queer. It wasn't like, here is homosexuality and here's trans. It was just, like, casually and beautiful, and, like, it was amazing. And I hope we see more of that, even though that didn't get a season 2. I hope we see more stuff approaching concepts like that, where it's just, it's just honest and earnest and fun.
Yeah, love it. Great recommendations there. And Maggie, if not horror, whatever female empowerment movies.
I'm in a state of panic. Listen, can I say Spice Girls?
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. I did a rewatch. Those aliens are problematic, and I was scarred by them as a child for a reason. And then you watch it back, and you're like, "Oh, cool. Well, that's assault. That's sexual assault. But that's fine. That's totally fine." It's like, even in our wildest imaginations of outer space, we're still victims of sexual assault. It's totally fine. Anyway, but that being said, love the Spice Girls. Love all the different personalities, big personalities that women can have in that movie. And I think internally, each of us, we have a little bit of each Spice Girl in every single one of us. And that's great. And we're all a beautiful medley of lots of different things. And we don't have to just be one thing. We can be them all.
That's right.
Okay.
Yes.
Love
that's
that.
my take. But yes, I'm on board. I love camp. I love Castlevania. I love camp.
Love that. Amazing. I'm going to throw a few out there because this is like my area of expertise. So I'm going to give you some recommendations, audience, whether you want them or not.
I'm ready.
We want them.
I'm going to say Death Drop Gorgeous. That is
I've seen about that.
It's a slasher movie that is playing on Shudder, and it's about drag queens. So it's a slasher involving drag queens, and it's metaphors about what's wrong in the queer community, according to the filmmakers. And it's indie, but it's wonderful. It's done with heart. It's done with grit. Highly suggested. I would recommend Biqtch to everybody. It's an updated vampire movie, and the lead is a transgendered woman. And it's about a group of female vampires that kind of go out and try to make the world their own. So I would recommend that. And then for me, on a personal level, some people didn't like it, but I was a real big fan of The House on Haunted Hill and The Haunting of Bly Manor on Netflix.
Ooh.
I love Mike Flanagan's storytelling. A lot of people were upset with Bly Manor because there's a featured lesbian storyline, and they feel that the ending is kind of like a burying your gays trope. That aside, I really preferred Haunting of Hill House, but both are worth checking out. So yeah, queer horror, I'm here for it. We're in a new kind of time with it. We just had They Them come out on Peacock.
Yes.
I loved what it was going for, but I think it could have been better, but that's all right. I was still happy to see it. And hey, they even put a gay couple in the Halloween series. We have gay people in the
That's right
now. So we're here. They finally recognize that we're here. And
Big John and Little John are gone.
They're gone.
They're gone.
But they ate. They ate.
They sure did. But so it's an exciting time to be a queer horror fan. So keep your eyes peeled, guys. Plus, Jamie Clayton being Pinhead is just phenomenal. I can't believe she's front and center. She's gonna kill the role. It's fantastic. Freaky did really well, and that's written by a gay person, and one of the gay people are stars. So I'm gonna shut up because this is not my panel, but I just wanted to give you all some recommendations. So staying in this vein, I would ask you guys, what do you think the current state of queer and female representation is in film, horror, and video games? We'll start with Biqtch.
Well, as I always could be better. I'm just saying, with population being 50-50, always be, but I will say it's been really great. I mean, Last of Us, both 1 and 2, I will not go into the storyline and going on with any of that. I don't want to do any spoilers. It's both pieces of art. Go play them. I think the remaster for 1 just came out, or is coming out. Go play them. It stars, there's a fabulously queer woman in both of them, and it's just a beautiful ride. Control, it's just I feel like there's more representation now with Resident Evil coming in with a sea of women. You know what I mean? We usually have one badass chick. I mean, Ada Wong, how you doing? Or Jill Valentine. But, there's now all these villainesses. Even with Star Wars, we're finally getting our first Sith queen. I've been waiting for decades for a Sith queen. And
I don't know why it's taken this long.
Are tagging online because she's whooping these hoes' ass. Come on. Of course, she's a Sith queen. Come on. Of course she's gonna kill her supervisor. He ain't doing shit. He's a man. Let's kill him. So it's about damn time. It can be better, and I like where we're going in the direction that we're going.
Here. Maggie, what do you have to add?
Yeah, fully agree. I think we are seeing a big push for representation across all different mediums, and which I'm sure most of us will agree is long overdue. And representation is such a seemingly small thing, but it can have such a huge impact. It can literally change the course of somebody's life if they're able to see the potential of what they could be. It opens up doors. It opens up one's imagination to just dream a little bit further than perhaps you would have allowed yourself to dream before. So it's so important. And while the changes that we're seeing are great, they're by no means the end all be all of this fight. And with Lady D specifically, what I think is so exciting is that the massive success of Lady D is showing that, yes, audiences are hungry for this. We are hungry for different narratives and different characters. We want to see diversity both in our storytelling narratives and in the characters that we're creating. And on top of that, it's lucrative. So for the powers that be that are up there making decisions, we have proven, Capcom has sold, I think, over 6 million copies of the game thus far, due in no small part to the success of Lady D. So now we're starting to speak a language that these high-powered decision makers can understand of no, your audiences want this, and it's in your benefit because you're going to make more money. So I think that's exciting to me because it shows the power of an audience and the power that we have to make these changes to affect this change, because we're already doing it. So we'll just keep going.
Yes. Love that. Oh, yes. Erika, what say you?
Yeah, I sort of hunchbacking off of something that Biqtch said earlier. We're able to now have characters that are queer or that are you know, of like a particular racial identity, and it can be more casual in its presentation, right? So like it isn't always like news that there's a gay character in something, which I think is a good thing, right? Like it's great when it makes news because it again like brings attention to the representation issue. But now I think we're at a point where not only do we have, you know, people on camera that are playing characters that are queer, that it just is, but then we also, I think, hopefully have more queer people in the writers' room, more people of color in the writers' room, and as showrunners and things like that. And that's also really important because those are the ones that are shaping the storytelling and how the story is told. So I love that. I think in certain franchises, I feel like we need a few more characters, like women characters that are a little more dimensional. I feel like sometimes even some of the series that I love, I think about like Sonic, for example, like we still have like Amy and Rouge and like maybe one or two others, but I want to see, you know, I want to see more, like I want to see even more, you know, I want to see like a more balanced roster in terms of gender in certain games and things like that. But, you know, shout out to Samus Aran, who's just like holding it down since 1985.
Hey.
Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent. Love it. Thank you guys for those thoughtful answers. So, you know, I mean, hey, this is a Slayer horror panel, so I'm just going to go ahead and ask it. What scares you? Erika, let's start with you.
Oh my God. I really do not like insects, you guys. Like spiders, bees, things like that.
You listening? Blaze.
Yeah, one time I retweeted something about there's like a cave dwelling spider with like the really long legs that go out to here, and apparently they're really docile. But I remember like watching those on Fear Factor, and the Blaze were like, "Why do you tell us your fears?" And I'm like, "You know why?
You know why?
You know why?
I get your rent check. Come on, I make that good TV. Let's go."
Right.
Yeah, no, that's intense, and the stuff that they make you guys do on Dragula for the exterminations, forget it. I'd be out.
But like the creepy crawly and like the fangs just sitting right under their face.
Oh my God. Well, you especially, Erika, girl, you were in it to win it, man. All
the mistress of extermination challenges.
Yes,
literally
ma'am.
Literally ate, vomited, scooped it back up with a spoon.
Inspiration.
I want to know the real tea.
Yeah, well, the real tea is use your own vomit to wash down whatever gross shit they make you eat.
You heard
drink mop water. Chasing it with mop water works just
or
as well.
that. I mean, exactly.
You heard it here first.
Extra points.
I actually created COVID. I created COVID in that moment. That's exactly what happened.
Extra points if there's pine salt in that bath water.
Yeah.
Or Fabulosa. Come on.
Fabulosa, bitch.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that because I'm Latina, but I wasn't.
I was like, you gotta say that. Come on, say the good shit.
Like,
say the good shit.
Totally. I mean, listen, I don't think there's been a filth challenge that matched yours since then, bitch, to be honest. So moving right along to you. What scares you, honey?
Well, the original Filth Queen is divine, so make some noise for creative.
Yeah.
I rarely wish she could be in this present time today where she could experience all the fabulous queers, and we could have seen her acting career really kind of evolve past just being this drag persona. I think they were just a talented artist in general, and the original Filth Diva. So I don't hold a candle to her and John Wanda's bachelorette. I hold a cigarette, maybe. What scares me? Not a lot. Right. I'm not like, I'm very fearless in a lot of ways. I think the most thing that scares me is stuff that's grounded in reality. When it's supernatural, I'm like, ooh, bitch, I'm creative as hell. I can come up with just as a creative comeback or way to kill a bitch. Like, Brenda killed the ring bitch in Scary Movie 3. You know what I mean? She comes out of TV and she beats her ass. So I'm down with that. It's just shit that is like grounded in reality and that's real, because I think the horror of life is just so traumatic that, you know, we kind of mock it as drag queens, or we poke fun of it through art, or even, you know, romanticize it by making it a queer, you know, using queer trauma in horror films and being a basis for horror in general. So I would say like stuff that's grounded in reality really rocks me, because I'm like, well, shit, girl, I don't get another life. I can't restart the level. I can't go back and replay the movie and face my fear. It's literally now, and I don't have an option to get out of it. So I think that's what really scares me.
Totally. Maggie, what about you?
I think I'm a combo of both of you. I agree that the realism ones are the ones that are the most freaky. And specifically, if you're in a position where you're stuck in a room and it's dark and you just feel creepy crawlies on you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good. I'm out. Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you. Bye. Thank you, next. That's freaky deaky. Also, belly buttons. I shouldn't have said that, but I did. I don't like them. They freak me out. I don't want any
Just
part of them.
you Photoshop your belly button out in all pictures. You're just
I'll
like,
be Kyle XY, the new Kyle XY.
Amazing.
yeah, it's Kyle XY with a deep cut.
But I also don't want to not have a belly button. It's a weird
Yeah.
thing, right? It's weird if you don't have one, but also I hate them.
What I mean by like
I'm gonna
realism,
work on that in therapy. We'll work through that.
what I was meaning with like realism is like when a reference is like Edgar Allan Poe was the first one to really scare me in general. Like reading his writing and falling in love with his writing, and like Berenice, where she's ripping out her fucking teeth, like bitch, like it's just shit that's grounded. It's what the way your mind plays on you in the dark, and like and the manipulation of like realism is what really fucks with me.
For sure. Yeah, the dark is enough. My imagination takes it from there for sure. So I was wondering, all three of you have a very excited fandom. So I wanted to ask you guys, I'll start with Erika, if you could mention a fan interaction that's really meant a lot to you.
Yeah. Well, there's there's always the fans that will like have like not a panic attack, but they'll just get so excited that they'll start crying or they'll start like hyperventilating. And in those moments, I always try to just like remind them that I'm a human person. Like, yes, thank you for like loving what I do, but I'm a person too, and like I just want to meet you and interact with you. But more specific one, when I was in the UK, I got a doll. It was like a porcelain doll, and it was like really distressed looking and gray. And I loved it so much that I ended up actually turning it into like a look. So it was like sort of like Sabrina in Pokemon, how she has that doll sitting on her lap. So like it's really beautiful when like fan interactions can become also like a collaboration. Like so many of the regulars in my channel are also artists, and like we commission each other for things, and like they support my channel, and that's the really beautiful part that I love too about being on Twitch.
Yeah, no, amazing. Bitch, what about you?
I would have to say being on Twitch has really connected me with an audience on a deeper level than I think in general. Dragula definitely obviously exposed me and got my name out there. But when the digital drag show happened, kind of providing the queer community a place of solace throughout the pandemic weekly, it was an impact, of course. I'm like noticing we're interacting online. We were like in the news and it really went viral and blew up. But what really started hitting with me was like all the very personal stories. Like I lived in a household where like if I came out, it was not cool. So we never talked about queer shit. But I would sneak in my mom's room every night or in my bedroom every night and watch digital drag show when I could, or just interact with you when I could. And so I lost my drag mother this past year, Kiara, who inspired a lot of my drag and kind of showed me that video games can be like, you can use that in your drag. And she's basically a Mortal Kombat character. She could move like one. She looked like one. She was a very hot woman. She was amazing. And actually last night at my birthday show, this man came up to me at the very end of the night. Bar was closing down. He came up to me and he was a very hot ginger man, very hot. Like this is something that both her and I have a type and we do like a good redhead. And I was like, oh shit. Like, okay, who is he? He's like, hi, I was supposed to meet Kiara like this month. We were talking months before and I'm in town for a film. And I've been messaging her. I didn't know she passed until I like actually kind of looked into it. And I came tonight to see you and to say hi because I have that connection through you. And yeah, it's just like moments like that where you kind of get jarred into something that catches you off guard. And it really kind of made my whole celebration last night like really worth it, because it was just like, damn, you know, like this person that inspired you so much had such a huge connection with other people. And you know, he was like, damn, I told him, I was like, you know, she would have ate you up. And he's like, damn, I would have ate her up. So you know, it's like, I can take you out to dinner. I don't look like her, but you know, I could take you out to dinner. We could, you know,
Get
at
it
least
poppin'.
get you, like, I like add more history to her, like, you know, to have that connection to her. So that's something that happened really recently, literally like 5 hours ago. So.
Oh, wow.
I don't
That's
know if that's
fantastic.
relevant.
Wow.
It is relevant. And
It's beautiful.
yeah. And Maggie, like there's been such fan fervor over Lady D, and I know you've been very excited and committed to the queer community. So I was wondering how Lady D has changed your world and what your memorable fan interaction has been.
Yeah, Lady D has changed every aspect of my world. I'm sorry, I'm still like weeping over your story, bitch. I like that's so beautiful that
Yeah.
she's still giving you connections. She's
Yeah,
still making connections for you now, even after she's gone. I just, oh wow,
it's
that gave
insane.
me
Yeah.
chills. Yeah, I think I agree with a lot of what both of you have said. I think Erika, you touched on, and I certainly feel the same way within my own community. This exchange of inspiration and creativity that happens between the artist and the fan base. And I feel the same way, where so much of what my fans do within my community inspires me to then go back and do other stuff on my end, or maybe we collaborate together to create a print. Watching other people create fan art, specifically for me, I initially, before I even got into acting, I didn't want to be an actor. I thought it was gross and I didn't like being in the spotlight. And here we are now. So I was initially drawn to visual arts. I wanted to be an artist. I really loved doing things with my hands. And so seeing fan art being made about my character and then being made about me, which is even weirder, that inspired me to get back into art. And I'm starting to doodle and draw and just trying to keep it fun for me. It's for me.
Yeah.
And so finding ways to add that value back into my life. And so that's been solely because of the fans. I wouldn't have done it without them. I wouldn't have gotten back into it without them. One of the most memorable interactions I've had, I think, I was doing some signings of some live signings on Streamily, and I had this couple that essentially had me help with a proposal between them and their partner. And that was so incredibly special. I was losing my mind. I was so inefficient as well. The rest of the stream went kaputs because I was just in such a state. But it was really, really special to help facilitate that and to just see the love between them. And it's been really a joy to be able to offer a safe space to the queer community who I think needs it. And, you know, I love you. You come as you are. That's my whole thing. And no matter who you are, you will have a space with me and you will have love from me. So it's been really impactful. I never expected to be able to have that kind of impact across the world. That's been kind of mind-boggling, especially because I came from theater. So your impact reach is so small. You're just within a small community. And
Yeah,
now
that's
to have a reach that spans the globe is crazy. I never expected that. It's both scary, but also really exciting and inspiring. So it's changed my life in every way. This community has changed my life
That's
in all the best ways.
beautiful. You know, it's so important. All three of you, you know, you have such a passionate fan base, and you know, I'm a fanboy myself. You know, you look up to people, and you know, you really change lives with what you're doing. You know, and I love that your drag mother's still inspiring people. Bitch, that's so wonderful. What a legacy. I mean, you know what I'm saying? That's what we do it for, right? Like, so she lives on. That's fantastic. So thank you guys. Thank you for being honest and sharing those stories. So, you know, for me, it's already spooky season. To me, it's like Halloween already. So it's my favorite time of year. I'm sure it's your guys too. So I want to know what y'all are doing for spooky season. And let us start with Miss Biqtch Puddin.
Well, I just got confirmed I'm going to be hosting or I'm performing at Savannah Pride. Savannah is where Biqtch was born, at Savannah College of Art and Design. And I was a performing arts major, and Biqtch happened to be my thesis. And I never thought 10 years later, I'd still be doing drag. I went to college evidently to be a drag queen. So I'm really excited to go back and host that. And I'm very excited. And then I'm also doing a really fabulous gig in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, with some names I can't talk about yet, but I will be there. It's going to be amazing. And my parents got proposed there, so I'm excited to go and kind of experience Fort Lauderdale. But what I'm most excited for is actually to bring it back to what I said in the original. Queer for Fear debuts on Shudder. If you liked any instance of this conversation in general, I highly suggest you go check that out. It's a docu-series. There's multiple episodes, and it kind of breaks down horror in a way where, you know, we used to have to speak in code. We had the hanky code where you would like flag like a red hanky if you were in a fisting mama or whatever code, whatever hanky you'd be doing. Everything was coded, and back then there was all this nuance that if you look back with a queer lens, an older queer lens or a more sophisticated or woke queer lens, you kind of realize like, damn, all horror is gay. And we're not trying to paint it that way. It just is because it was made by gays, you know? So it's just I say go check that out. And shout out to Meg, who is one of the producers on that, one of my closest friends. But also, I got to see one episode. It's really great. Go check it out.
Oh, I'm so excited. I've been waiting for that since I heard about it.
Me too. Shudder has a lot of cool documentaries like that.
Yeah, they're really good allies. I mean, obviously Dragula's there and everything too, and Fangoria. Yeah. Shout out to Fangoria. Erika, how about you? What are you doing for spooky season?
Yeah, so for spooky season, the only thing that I know for certain is that I'm going to be doing Luigi's Mansion on my channel. And yeah, Halloween plans are still percolating, so stay tuned. Yeah.
Love it. Yes. Excellent. And Maggie, how about you? Do you like Halloween?
I love Halloween. I'm a spooky girl.
Hey.
My birthday is the day before Halloween. Sorry.
Oh.
Wow. All Saints Day.
Thank you. Thank you. Like I'm not going to say that I'm typecast as villains, but
for itself.
What can I say? Yeah, I'm still also finalizing my Halloween plans, but I guess the hot goss that I'll give you guys is I am going to be releasing a special print that I am so excited about. It's going to be bananas. I'm super pumped, and stay tuned. That'll be on my Streamly shop at streamly.com/Maggie Robertson.
You heard it. Exclusive, honey. You heard it here
first. You heard it here. Start saving.
So, well, guys, this has been great. I could go on forever, but it is time for us to start wrapping up. So I would like to go around, and can you let everybody know where they can find you, what your socials are, and let's start with Erika.
Yeah, so first thing, go to Twitch, twitch.tv/Erika Klash. That's Erika with a K, Klash with a K. Hit the follow button. I would appreciate it so much. And yeah, pretty much Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Erika Klash, Erika with a K, Klash with a K. Yeah, check me out. Linktree in my Instagram as well.
Yes, ma'am. Biqtch Puddin.
Hi, I'm Biqtch Puddin. That's BIQTCHPUDDIN. You can find me at twitch.tv/Biqtch Pudding, Instagram Biqtch Pudding, everywhere Biqtch Pudding. Yeah, and then also if you're ever in the Los Angeles area, I host a party called Bitchin', which is why my voice is hoarse and I'm a little hungover because we celebrated my birthday last night. I hosted at Precinct DTLA. And the party's called Bitchin'. We have a fierce drag show, video games. We're doing a Mortal Kombat night in November. So if that interests you, it's the second Friday of every month. So just look at your calendars and stay tuned for that. And then I can officially also announce that I'm hosting the drag showcase at TwitchCon, which is happening this October 7th. And I'm co-hosting with Deer, by the way, who loves all of this. So if you haven't followed Deer yet, go follow Deer. Who loves queer and horror. She literally is a drag queen who streams only in drag and queer
on the platform
and horror stuff. So yeah, please go check her out. And we're co-hosting the drag showcase together. But yeah, Biqtch Puddin' on all platforms, baby. Don't forget the Q because there's always a question.
And the apostrophe, no G. It's
G. The apostrophe. It's sluttier
IN apostrophe. We love.
Yeah, it's sluttier that way. You see that apostrophe? Mm-hmm. I go down easy, and I'm really sweet, contrary to my name being a bitch. You know.
Yeah. Aw. And Maggie, where can everybody find you?
You can find me at Maggie the Bard on Instagram and Twitter. I'm Maggie Robertson on YouTube. Yeah, Maggie the Bard.
Maggie the Bard.
Can I push one more thing? I'm so sorry.
Yeah, go for it.
Do it.
Sorry. You said YouTube. I was like, I've been working really hard on my YouTube channel. I got a lot of spooky stuff coming. That's really, really great for you guys. I've been filming a lot of crazy shit. So go to my YouTube channel or my Facebook channel, Biqtch Pudding, please. And I'm so sorry, Maggie, to cut you off. I just was like, you said YouTube.
No, I was done. You saved me.
I was like, oh my God, I'm sorry. I was like, I literally busted my ass the past month making great content for YouTube for October. So please check out Maggie and me on YouTube. Erika, you on YouTube, right?
I do have a YouTube channel. That's true. Well, I host a nerdy talk show on my YouTube channel called Nerd Alert. Right. Mm-hmm. And yeah, you can also find like a lot of my Twitch videos on there as well.
Yes. Smash that follow button, guys.
We're on everything. We're on everything.
Yes.
We create for you. Okay.
Yes. Well, as for myself, I'm at Stan the Mechanic on Twitter and Instagram. Please give me a follow. And I have some free horror movies that I've hosted. You know, I'm like Elvira, but my two big pumpkins are down below, not up top. I'm at www.stanthemechanic.com. And that's going to be it for us, guys. This has been Slayers at Gaming Live, presented by Ally. And before you kill me, I know there was no Q&A, but these three wonderful individuals will be doing the AMA sessions at Gayming Mag on Twitter. So Erika will be at 4:30 p.m. Eastern today, and you should use the hashtag AMA Erika if you have any questions. Biqtch will be at 4 p.m. tomorrow, so please use the hashtag AMA Biqtch with a Q, honey. And Maggie is tomorrow at 4:45 p.m. Eastern, and please use the hashtag AMA Maggie. I have a feeling you're going to get a landslide, Maggie. So thanks for tuning in, guys, and thank you guys for chatting with me. So again, this has been Slayers at Gaming Live, presented by Ally. To find out what's going on for the rest of the weekend, head over to gaming.live for the full schedule. And happy spooky season.
Happy spooky season.
Don't die.
Woo!